Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is National Master R9 Lbcscl, and today we're gonna take a look at the standings in Lower Bucks County Scholastic Chess League. So far, we have the winner of each division qualified: the Germantown Academy, Abington, Council Rock, with a perfect score again, Holy Ghost Prep. So far, but Holy Ghost Prep has an important match with NEJ Yardley, and here three teams are fighting for the qualification spots. Hadborough Horsham depends also on a match and results. So looks like 8 points qualifies you, 8 victories, but it still could come down to the points. So keeps it interesting and exciting. And let's see the game of the day. If we can find the game. Here it is. And today we have Kevin versus Remington, Germantown Academy versus Upper Dublin. High 1800 versus a high 19, so 1850, 1950. So it's 100 points rating difference. Queen's Gambit declined. Now white captured on d5 and black captured with the knight. It's once you capture with the knight and white plays e4, white has the duo center, and he has better control of the center for the middle game. The only good part about this line is not so many lines for black, not so much to learn, it's not super complicated, and it goes to an endgame where white is a little bit better. If black will take with the pawn, then it's a Queen's Gambit declined, and white could play here e3 or Queen c2, and basically going with knight e2 or knight f3, and this is the cards about pawn structure. White has different plans. Kasparov used to play knight g2 and with the plan on f3 4 in the middle game, but a lot of the players choose knight f3 with h3 and short castle, and then you could do the minority attack. Let's go back to the game where black choose to take with the knight. After e4, knight takes c3, pawn takes c3. White has a beautiful center here, and it's backed up by the c3 pawn, and black plays c5 and he pressures the d4 pawn. Knight f3, and now black played knight c6. Black could have taken here on d4 and then bishop b4 check, bishop d2, and you could trade this bishop. The more black trades, the more he's hoping he could use his queenside pawn majority in the endgame. Whereas he has 2 versus 1 on the queen side. Now here, if black plays queen a5, white plays rook b1, bishop takes, queen takes, king takes. This will be a bad endgame for black. Why? Because let's say you play knight c6 and I play bishop d3 and you castle, and I don't even need to castle. I just play rook c1, and when you play rook d8, I play king d2, and this is a fantastic king backing up the pawns, and this fantastic rooks here makes it really hard for black to develop the pieces, and white could just gain space advantage on the king side and waiting for black to weaken his position. For example, if you play e6, rook b6 paralyzes the whole queen side. Knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b5. I mean, I understand you want to develop a piece and you pin the knight and you want to castle, preparing castling, but white was winning here, in my opinion, after d5. Now, this is a very energetic move because I'm attacking your knight, and you cannot take and open up the center because I have the initiative. I attack, and I will be the one taking an advantage of the open center. So if you play knight a7, d6, let's say knight f5, then check, bishop d7, bishop g5, and this doesn't look good at all. White has super activity here. If you play f6, check, king f7, bishop c4, check, king g6, and this is absolutely beautiful here, knight e5. If you take, obviously take your queen, and if you take my bishop, then checkmate. I don't like black position here. I analyzed knight b8 and now rook b1 to stop bishop b4 check and to stop the white pressure on b7 and just give the move to black, and after bishop b5 check and you block bishop c4, and now we see why rook b1 is so important. And white is super developed and black cannot castle, and this knight it can get out because these squares are controlled, and it blocks the rook in the corner, king in the center, two rooks out, knight undeveloped. You have big problems here with black. Like, I can even sacrifice a rook here, check and castle, and you still have the same problems. The king in the center, piece is undeveloped. Check and check, and then I have two pieces for the rook. I could just play bishop f1 back. My king is safe and sound. Bishop is protected, and the 7th rank is hanging. I have this beautiful square for my knight, and again I prefer white here because of two pieces versus a rook, plus I have the rook on the board, the coordinator, and a super active rook on the 7th rank attacking the pawns and the king, so it's a pleasure to play this with white. After bishop b5, black played bishop d7. Again, what if I take on d4? I take, and if you take back, and now queen a5 check, and this bishop hangs. So what is going on here? After c takes d4, white is forced to give up the bishop, but then everything changed because now black has the bishop pair and he's going to use it right away with bishop a6, and white king is the one is in trouble, and now black is he has a good game here. I mean, after queen a4, queen b6, let's say bishop d2, bishop e7, rook c1, short castle. I could give you this pawn because you have problems with your king, and same story. You play one piece down, and I trade your pieces, and I weaken the white squares, and then I just play rook a8, and I pick up the pawn. With two bishops, the bishop pair stronger than a bishop and a knight, and your rook in the corner out of the game. and I will have a pass pawn here. After c takes d4, black was it was black's opportunity to take over the game. Black played a normal move, bishop d7, short castle, and now queen a5. So if he will insert c takes d4, then queen a5 will come with a devastating effect. Queen a5, queen d3. I like more rook b1. Now you don't have to be afraid to give up this pawn, because after rook b2 and queen a5, same story. The king in the center. What you guys gotta do when king is in the center? Just open up the center, trade pawns, open up files and diagonals towards the enemy king. So if knight moves away, take, and now the b7 pawn hangs, and knight g5. I'm attacking on e6, and I'm preparing queen h5 and queen f3. I want to weaken your pawn structure, the black squares, with queen h5. So if you play queen a6 to protect the pawn, queen h5 and queen f3, and white has initiative and attack. You have problems again because you cannot protect on f7. If you play knight e5, obviously I will play queen f6 and fork your two pieces. So that's the reason why we played queen h5, to weaken the f6 square. So now black doesn't have knight e5, and he has big problems with the f7 pawn. This is just crushing. I can't even think of a move. You probably have to play f6, f5. This is just a disaster for black. So queen d3, protecting the bishop. If you wanted to move the queen, I like more queen e2. Queen e2, I still protect the bishop, but I leave the d file for my rook. Queen d3, long castle. I didn't really like this move, long castle. So c takes d4, c takes d4. This is a natural capture here to have the queenside pawn majority for the endgame and to open up your diagonal for your bishop. a6, a piece comes in your territory, you want to kick it out, and if it goes back, now rook c8. And you wait for this bishop to move. So then you could play queen a3, and you want to trade queens. Obviously, if queen takes, bishop takes, black doesn't have any problems here because he could castle and has a queenside pawn majority, no problems. So bishop b3, bishop e7, d5. Again, king in the center. What you guys gotta do? Open up the center. Knight a5, and boom, d6. Now the problem is this knight, the queen is overworked. So if queen takes, then queen takes, I pick up a piece, and if bishop takes, then I want to take on d6 if you take back, and if queen d2, again, we've seen this story before, two pieces versus a rook. Usually two pieces are stronger than a rook. Here black has a pawn also, so but these strong bishops and this huge attack on the king here. White has a huge attack here on the king, and obviously rook takes c3 doesn't work because queen takes d8 check. So bishop f8, queen h5, rook takes c3, knight g5. This is it just shows you how beautiful the attack is against the black king. After h6, check, I'm threatening mate on h7, and then check and mate. So it's already hard to play with black, but this long castle I just didn't like. Why, if white plays simple bishop f4 and he just takes away, controls this diagonal, it takes away the b8 square from the king, white has such a nice position. Black can never open up the queen side, the files, and it's so easy to play on the white side. After a6, it was interesting to play a4 in here and to take back the piece with the doubling up the rooks and preparing d5, king in the center, again opening up the center files. In the game, white took on c6, took, and knight e5. It was interesting to play a4 because if bishop takes a4, this bishop it's pinned, and I could just move the game on the other side, and you still have big problems with that pin to solve. Nothing wrong with knight d5. Knight takes c6, queen takes c6, rook f to d1, c4. So black, that's why black was keep waiting with c takes d4 to push c4 at the right timing and keep it close, keep the files closed, and the c3 bishop is blocked in by the b2 bishop is blocked in by the c3 pawn. d5 was a very energetic move. Instead of queen b5, black could have played queen b6, so you will have protection on e6, the e6 pawn. And after rook b1, take on e4, and if you pin me, h5. If you keep the pawn, g5. If you pick up the pawn, then I take, and now I could just play queen c6, protecting everything and trading queens. Yes, I have double pawns, but you have a bad bishop, you have no entry squares for the rook on the queen side, and black should hold this position easily. Queen b5, pawn takes, queen g4 has the minus that after queen g4, this I'm attacking and I want to capture on a6 with the queen. That's the biggest minus of queen b5, because the queen doesn't protect on e6. King b8, pawn takes, and now white is winning because black never finished development. Plus, white has attack on the king. So after queen a5, bishop c1, bishop e7, check, and the white pieces are lining up towards the enemy king. Beautiful game. I hope you guys enjoyed the game, and good luck for the teams that they are still fighting for the playoffs, and see you guys next week.